Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Plot Chronicles. Just let me know when you're ready. God, I love food plots. Food plots are the shit. In our last episode and first episode of the year, we were doing soil tests. If you didn't see the soil test video, check it out in the link below, right in this region here. So on this episode, we're gonna be spraying plots. The price of Roundup is outrageous. That's 3 times what it was last year. But because we just rototill and disc, we don't plow our fields. We really have no choice but to spray them down with Roundup early in the spring. Now, controlling the weeds is so important that we have to bite the bullet and pay the cost to do it. One thing that we've done better this year is we've sprayed a little bit earlier than we normally do, just to try to get out in front of all that spring green up. And we have stretched the concentrate as far as we possibly can. We've stretched it about 20% more than we normally do. All right, ladies and Jerry's, food plot cronies in full effect. We are spraying today with what we have left of the glyphosate. Shit's expensive these days, so you know, gotta use what we got. Gloves, mask. I will wear glasses when I start spraying. It's all about safety. It's all about your health and the longevity of your life. So, just don't touch it. It kills shit. Don't touch it. So we're about to start spraying this. And you can see there's not a ton coming up right now, but with how wet it is, it's supposed to be in the 70s and sunny all next week. So everything is gonna pop. So if we could spray this stuff now, kill the top layer, we're gonna come in and turn this here in the next couple weeks anyway. So it's just gonna allow, you know, you wanna get ahead of the game always when food plotting. Ahead of the game if you can. Stay out in front of it, because once you get buried, especially if you're spraying stuff or you need to control the weeds in a certain food plot, once you start doing that, or once you get behind, you're always playing catch up, always. And a lot of this stuff is based on the weather, so you really need to be out in front as much as you can. So I'm gonna start spraying this stuff. Weeds are the biggest pester when it comes to food plots. Whatever you're doing, you have to figure out a way to control them, otherwise you're gonna get frustrated. If you don't kill the weeds and you're tilling or disking, when you go to till, everything is going to be so chunky, and the root systems from those live grasses and clovers that's in your field are going to just stay stuck together, and they're not going to chop up, they're not going to get into a fine powdered dirt to allow the seed to germinate, or to allow your drill to plant consistency, or to allow your cultipacker to pack everything evenly. Honestly, spraying plots is probably my least favorite part of the process of food plots by far. But controlling weeds is a very important part of the process. In fact, it's one you cannot skip. If you have any questions or comments about this video or food plots in general, leave us a comment below. We'll see you on the next episode of Food Plot Chronicles. We're gonna be burning and turning. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Food Plot Chronicles. One of the most important steps in making a pizza pie north of 9 on the Barstool Pizza Review scale is you gotta work that dough. You gotta massage it. You gotta put some love into it, and it's no different with food plots. We have to massage and love and fluff and work that soil. Tag and Brag Nation, what is up? It's that beautiful time of year. Dr. Food Plot is back. Or shall I call myself that? I really don't know diddly squat. But it's time. It is time. It's the end of May. I'm getting the new disc hooked up here. I already tested this bad boy out a little bit. It cuts pretty dang good. We got an old one right there. It's gonna be scrapped. It's just all bent up. All the blades on the left side there fell off, hitting too many rocks. But this one's got the notch discs. It cuts a lot better, but right now the way it was set on the lowest lowest setting, the most forgiving setting, I should say. I'm gonna slide it up a little bit, at least to match the front one, so that the back cuts a little bit harder. And then I'm gonna start turning some dirt. Food Plot Chronicles is underway. Might have our buddy Ryan coming up next week to help us and use his no-till drill, even though I'm gonna be tilling a little bit of our food plots. I just wanna level the ground out. Most people wanna keep the moisture in their soil, so that's why you wouldn't till. But where we are in this valley, our plots get so wet, it actually benefits us to till. I feel as though it dries everything out a little bit better. It fluffs everything up a little bit. It gets that under layer, some breathing room to dry out a little bit, and we need every bit of that every year. So I'm gonna disc some of our plots and just get prepared for the next 7 days. We're gonna start planting. Food Plot Chronicles is underway, folks. I'm actually glad I'm doing this. We got a lot of rain on Saturday. It's now Tuesday, and I'm trying to get stuff planted in the next week, but we just get a lot of rain here in general. We're right off Lake Erie. We get a lot of lake effects. We just get a lot of weather here. So it's rare for us to get 7 to 10 day stretches of sun. It's rare. You usually get 2, 3, and then a rain, or you get 7 days straight of rain. So it's very hard for things to dry out. So some of the stuff was really tough to go through because it's wet. But what I'm doing is it's fluffing up and turning over this wet, mucky soil, and it's gonna allow it to dry out. When we get a nice breezy, sunny day like this, 72 degrees, we got a nice breeze, all sun. It's gonna be like this for the next 2 or 3 days, which is awesome. It'll dry this stuff out really good. And then I'll be able to hit it again with the disc, and then that should create that fine dirt. So that's my plan anyway. And you can see what happens when you disc in a super wet field. You get everything, it actually didn't, well, yeah, it did. You get everything sticking to the disc, plugs up pretty good. So I always carry some kind of pick or an axe in the bucket to be able to get out and chip this stuff away. Get it off the disc. Most of it falls off pretty good, but when you get it clogged up like that, it takes some effort to get it out. Well, as I'm continuing to disc this particular section here, we usually put borderline. I think we're going to try corn this year, and the reason being is that sorghum, with how heavy the snow we get here, it knocks down with the snow. So corn is a lot tougher, a lot stronger, so we're going to try to do that. I am going to run through while the evening is setting upon us, and I'm going to burn this. Tough to do it with one person, but I'm just going to do it small sections at a time, and it'll till super nice, super fertile, and at the same time it will kill this grass, especially if this fire gets hot enough, as it's backing, which it will. So it'll kill most of the weeds in here. And then I don't have to spray it again. It should be ready to roll. You can see it's already doing it. Just torching this stuff. It's working perfect right now. So I'm just gonna take the next 45 minutes, and I'm gonna work sections at a time and get this stuff burnt, and this should be very nice and prepared dirt. I got this narrow strip up in here that I'm gonna burn, and I just rototilled right around the whole thing. Perimeter rototill around it. That's my fire break, so I really have nothing to worry about at this point. There's not a big enough breeze for the fire to hop over. There's not enough fuel in this field for for it to hop over. Light the whole back side, and then I'll come do the front side, and hopefully in about 15 minutes this thing should be black. I got some of these ribosomes. Is that the way to say it? I think that's the way to say it. Miscanthus. It's a root that you dig down about 4 inches and plant it, and then you'll get regrowth for, I don't know, hopefully the next 5, 6, 7 years. This is a wall. It's a berm up against the road. We're trying to block off our food, just our property in general, from the road, because up in New York especially, you just get a lot of road pressure. A lot of guys drive around, they look at deer, which is cool. And we got a blind right here, so the deer are pressured up here in New York from the road, because you can spotlight deer, you can pressure them from the road. So we're trying to take some of the pressure off of them. We'll be hunting in this blind. There'll be 10 deer out in this food plot. Someone will stop alongside the road and it clears the field out, and you really have no chance of shooting a mature deer, at least when that happens. And it happens time and time again. We try to plant some of the borderline right here, but like I said, I'm just trying to save some work in the future so we don't have to till this wall up. You know, it's at a little bit of an angle. We're still gonna plant the borderline on the lower side of it, but I got 200 of these root systems from the miscanthus, and I'm just gonna go along and dig a bunch of holes and start planting them in there, and cover them up with soil, and hopefully we get some growth out of them. Not expecting a massive growth this year, but hopefully next year, you know, we get 8, 10, 12 feet of them, and they just start getting thicker and thicker, and eventually we'll have full coverage, full blockage from this road here. This isn't a food plot, but this is part of the process to benefit our food plot. The soil is ready. We've loved it, we've fluffed it, we've massaged it, we've turned it. And now the stage is set to put the seed in the ground. What's up, everybody? So this is a strip that we're going to plant borderline. We did it last year, but we got taken over by weeds, overrun. And one thing I did notice was we just started to see some of these grasses come up last year, and we kind of ran out of time. We were almost forced to. Had a rain coming, just getting late into June, not late into June, but too late for the borderline. So we had to put it down. Got overrun by, if you can see behind me, got these little grasses coming up. This is exactly what happened last year, but we're still in very early June here, and we're one step ahead of the game. So what I'm going to do right now is, while this is already disked and tilled up, I'm going to go through and spray this right now. It greened up. I'm going to spray it and kill off this grass that's just trying to come up, and then tomorrow I'm going to go ahead and plant this, and Tuesday, 2 days from now, we got 90% chance of rain. So hopefully this dies off real nice and the other borderline seeds germinate, and then we should be out in front of everything, and this should be a completely different result, I'm hoping, here in into August. So we'll see what happens, but changing up a step here, taking an extra step that we didn't do last year to try to improve our borderline. I should explain really quick why we're putting the borderline right here. So this hillside we have is essentially a bedding area. Our property goes up that hill a little bit. It's about 7 or 8 acres of a bedding area. It's thick and low cover, so we don't hunt in there a ton. We walk up this fence row right here to get in to our ghillie blind that's on the other side of this field right here, which is where our corn and our beans are. But the deer like to be in here. Like I said, they bed right in here, and this is elevated a little bit, so if we don't have a screenage right here, we're just exposed to this whole bedding area, and we just don't like pressure in the deer. So we put the screenage right here, that way we can drive this fence line. I got about 10 to 15 feet inside the fence. We can drive it or we can walk it, and nothing really knows that we're cruising back and forth on this fence line. So it's a huge benefit to us to stay concealed, getting in and out of this blind right here. It just allows a major benefit to access. All right, ladies and gentlemen, getting ready to put in the borderline from Big Time. I just turned this one more time last night. I came through and I actually sprayed this again because, as I explained last night, we did the same thing last year in 2 spots and we got overrun by grasses and weeds. And if you do that if that happens with this sorghum, this borderline, you're just not gonna get the production. You're not gonna get what you want out of it. So you gotta make sure the weeds are controlled. We turned this, I don't know, about 2 weeks ago, and actually let it green up again, and came through and sprayed it again last night. Hit this grass with a little more Roundup. I came through, I tilled it one more time just to get some fresh dirt, got some good fertilizer on here, and now I'm gonna run through and broadcast with the hand spreader the borderline. And I may run over it a few times with the 4-wheeler because that's an important step, but we have a 90% chance of rain coming in late tonight and for a good portion of tomorrow. So with this fresh dirt clumped up like this, when that I've found that when you get a rain right after it, it likes to settle. It kind of flattens out and settles, so that helps cover the seed a ton. It doesn't happen if you don't get a rain right after it. It'll stay chunky, but if you get a rain right after this, this will kind of flatten out and settle, and that will help cover this seed up. So I'll run over it a few times with the 4-wheeler, but I'm not going to go crazy with it because the dirt is going to settle right over top of this seed, and I think it's going to set up very nice. This should be a big improvement from the borderline that we had here last year. Did that strip up by the fence. Got a little one here and this little one here. So it's real thick right now, but right behind, this is just a little creek right down in here, and it's just a little hedgerow, a little wood line. You can actually see the cornfield right through the trees right there. So when everything defoliates in the fall, leaves fall down, we're exposed. We still got cover, but we're exposed to the corn and bean field. Did put corn up on that side to screen us off a little bit more, but we're putting borderline right here because we'll walk right down this fence and you take a left and the blind is right through the trees right there. So you just hop through the trees and we're covered up. So as soon as you get out of the blind, you just pretty much get down the ladder, duck down into the creek, and you are good, undetected to get in and out. So this borderline, like I said, we did things a little bit different this year, took an extra step to spray down the green up that was coming up, and we should get a good stand this year. It worked last year. It definitely gave us cover getting in and out. It just only got about 5 feet tall, so hopefully get about 7, 8, 9 feet out of it, and we'll be golden this year. Thanks to our Big Time soil samples, which is one of the most important parts of food plotting. Got to get a soil test. It told us that our one big field in particular, where we plant beans and corn, had a low pH. Everything else is pretty good, but we needed 2 tons an acre of lime in that field to adjust the pH, to get it level. So that field is very hard to access. We cannot get a lime cart of any sort into that field. So what we're using is Plot Start from Deer Grow. And without this product, we would not be able to adjust the pH in that field, at least with ag lime. This 2.5 gallon jug right here is equivalent to 1 ton of lime. And you can put 2 of these jugs in about a 25 gallon sprayer. You don't want to do any more than that because you want to get good coverage. 2 tons per acre of lime, that should be enough to adjust the pH accordingly to what we needed to get it to. And this will adjust it about 3 times faster than ag lime. So we're just gonna put it right on top of that fresh dirt. I'm gonna fertilize it. We should get a rain here in a couple of days to push it all in, but this is a great product to be able to adjust your pH if you don't have big equipment and you can't get into certain plots, that are tough to access with big equipment. It's gonna save us a ton of time and a lot of money when we're putting in food plots and trying to adjust our pH. part of the reason why we're using Deer Grow Plot Start right here. I can put it in the tank and adjust the pH in this field with a side-by-side. This is our entry into the field. Want to fix it in the future. Haven't had time to do it. It's a fairly big project. But getting a grain car or a lime cart in here with 10,000 pounds of lime and a tractor trying to pull it up this hill, it's just not only is it not very doable, it's not very safe. So the Plot Start allows us to be able to adjust our pH without getting big equipment in here. So it's going to be a huge savior. I got 3 acres to spray up here. We're putting about 4 to 6 tons of lime down, but 4 to 6 jugs of the Plot Start down to adjust the pH a couple points or a point, and it should be good. I'm anxious to see how it works.
Alright, well, today we're going to be putting some soybeans and corn in the ground up here in New York for Dean and Dave. This is a Genesis 5 Lite, and we're going to calibrate the seed. So you have a gearbox and you have a gate opening. The gate opening's over here on the right side, and that's basically going to adjust for the seed size. So soybeans, we're going to have our gate opening at 2. We got it set to 2. Larger seed, you'd go to 3. Seeds like switchgrass and clover, you'd set your gate opening at 0, so not a lot of seeds moving through the gate at one time. And then you move over to the other side and you have your gearbox, and that's what adjusts how much seed is going to be put into the ground. So if you look at this chart right here, soybeans, gate opening at 2, gearbox at 4, you're putting down 56 pounds per acre. You bump that gearbox to 5, 71 pounds per acre, 6, 100 pounds per acre. So typically, you're probably going to want to plant a little heavy if you're doing gear plots because of browse pressure. So we're probably going to put the pounds per acre somewhere around probably 80. Somewhere around 80 to 100.
Plot Chronicles is massively underway. We are planting today at Camp Cutlet. Our biggest field, about 3.5 acres, is complete. Had a couple hiccups with the corn. First 3 or 4 passes, didn't realize it, but we were dropping seed pretty heavy. I think we got it straightened out, but we might have a couple uneven spots. But other than that, everything seems to go pretty good. Field looks great. Fertilizer's in. Deer Grow Plot Start is sprayed, so pH should be adjusted, fertilized, seeded. Same architecture as last year. We'll give it a few days and then I'll be putting the fence up, but we're gonna go get some lunch. It's starting to get pretty toasty here, and then we'll start on field 2 and 3. More corn, more beans. Oh, feels good to be getting these plots in, folks. We got a couple days of sun, which is okay because the seed's drilled down. Only thing to worry about with no rain is the fertilizer on top, but the drill kind of does a good job of mixing it in. So we shouldn't lose too much nitrogen, I don't think. It's not too windy the next few days, so we should be okay there. Seed will be in the ground, and then Monday, Tuesday, looks like almost every day next week there's not major chances of rain, but chances of rain. So we've been getting heavy dews. The soil's pretty moist. I'm pretty confident about the germination. Drill's doing a good job. We actually, somehow, hasn't happened yet, but the small Mahindra died overnight. I had it sitting outside and it's completely dead. I don't know if I left the key part way on or what, but The tiller is on that, so I can't take it off right now. We were gonna try to knock this down, flatter, get some of the chunks like this. You see this chunk? Get some of this out of the dirt, but unfortunately, we're not able to do that because the tractor's dead. So you gotta improvise, like I said. The drill, it does slice it up pretty good, but we're just gonna have to live with it for this portion of the corn. Never had corn here. I will be so pumped if it grows. Even if it grows decent, I will be thrilled because I'll be able to spray it down and control the weeds in it. And we have never had good screenage from the road in this particular spot ever. So if we could get good corn here and got that screenage, it'll stay up in the snow and have food in this whole portion. This will be a dynamite area for deer in general. We got a redneck there, redneck there. It's gonna be a money spot, just gotta hope it grows. Looks like we are just gonna have enough seed to get this done. Save it money. Ladies and gents, it has been a heck of a day here at Camp Cutlet, planting. Huge thanks to our buddy Ryan for managing Deer TV. Huge thanks. Came up here with his no-till drill, Genesis 5. That thing was awesome. We got corn in here. Never had this set up before. Got our borderline in behind us and some miscanthus grass. We got about an acre of beans behind camp. We got 2 acres of beans up on another field and another 1.5 acres of corn. So very excited. All of our spring crops, well, almost all of our spring crops are in. I gotta do 2 more in the next like 3 days, 2 more sections of borderline for some access points, but I'm mainly concerned about, you know, using the drill to get these corn and bean plots in. I wanted to use the drill to get our other borderline access point in, but Ryan had to take off. It was a long day. We had a lot of work. We started at about 6:30 this morning and finished up about 2:30, 3 o'clock. So, and I'm just finishing up now. I had to wash down the equipment. Got to take care of that stuff when you're fertilizing, especially, you know, it's spitting fertilizer all over the tractor, all over our, you know, 3-point spreader. Had to power wash all that stuff off. Got to take care of your equipment if you want it to last. But just admiring the work and checking things out, closing the day out here. Thank you all for watching this episode of Plot Chronicles. It's been awesome. For the most part, spring crops are in, but we are by no means done for the season. A lot of work ahead of us. Appreciate y'all. So I'm just checking this field out. It's 8 days after we planted. The beans are popping up. A little bit of the corn is just starting to pop up. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stake out the fence for this particular field. It's really easier to do this in 2 stages. Get all your stakes up, kind of map it out in your head, lightly either pound them in or just lay them on the ground if you can see them, and that way you can kind of visually map out the field. If it's not a perfect rectangle, then you might want to get some T-posts because they just add stability if you're kind of pulling the tension of the wire inside and out. If it's a perfect rectangle, then it's fine because the tension of the fence and on the post is linear. So it's a little bit different, but I'm going to go through and set my T-posts on the inside, go around and do the outside plastic fence posts, and then hopefully get this fence fully erect by tomorrow. And you want to get on it quick, because as soon as those soybeans emerge and get their first 2 leaves, the deer are going to start pounding them. So I want to get my fence up before that happens, because that's when the most damage is done. That's when your biggest setbacks are, because there's only 2 leaves on the plant and they're taking them both off. So once you get them a foot tall or so, maybe even 6 inches, they can withstand a little bit of browse pressure. But you want to get the fence up as soon as your plants emerge to get the most effectiveness out of it. So got a lot of T-posts I got to put up here. I'm going to start laying them out. right, now that we have all of our fence posts set, I am going to start stringing out the fence. The next day here, I'm going to pick my spot where I'll put the Energizer and battery. Our path comes out right here, so I'll probably do it right in front here, just in case I need to check it or do any maintenance on it. It's right in the field as soon as I pop in it. But then I'll just start there, wrap the wire around these little yellow fence holders, wire holders, and I'll just start wrapping myself. I'll walk all the way around the fence, and then I'll tie it up and do the same for the next rung, and then I'll come onto the outside and do our tape wire on the outside, tie it all together, and hopefully we have a circuit. I got all 3 wires of the fence up and connected. 2 inside, top and bottom, and then this outside tape wire. The idea is that the space between the 2 fences kind of creates a depth perception issue with the deer, and it usually prevents them from wanting to jump in. It just kind of messes them up to keep them on the outside. You got 3 wires around the fence, so you got 6 ends, 6 wire ends. And when you tie them off to each pole, so you got 2 ends here for your tape wire. You got two ends right here for the top wire, and you got 2 ends for the bottom wire here. So 6 ends. You're gonna take the wire on each of the 6 ends and you're gonna twist them together just like you would do when you were tying the fence if you needed extra wire. You're gonna twist them all together, and then I'm gonna put the Energizer in here, and that end, all 6 ends, are gonna go on the Energizer. So to get a fence circuit going, you need a ground. This is the ground. Got the Energizer all hooked up. Got a spot for your ground, and then these are where all your 6 fence wires go. And that, we hope, creates the circuit. All right, ground's connected. Now, as I said, we'll take all these wires, get that wire bare, and twist it. Get the bare wire, so insulators are separate. So the 2 top wires are right there. I'm gonna twist them together. Right here I got the top and the bottom fence. Got them all tied together like that. Now we'll take each of the outside tape wire fence, everything twisted together right here. If you can see it, everything's twisted together. You got this right red side, it says fence. Make sure it's tight so we got a good connection. We got just a standard deep cycle battery right here. I got it all fully charged. You want to make sure it's fully charged before you put it on, before you hook anything up. I got a solar powered battery tender right here. Just lay it out in the field where it gets some sun. And this should keep the fence going really all summer long, or for the next 8 weeks anyway. And just like that, you can hear it buzzing. We have power. Everything is hooked up. I'm gonna keep an eye on this field because the deer will mess with this fence a little bit, but we're all set. You can hear it buzzing. We got a pulse. The fence is hot, baby. It takes, I don't know, a few hours to get these fences up. Less time if you have someone helping you. But if you're by yourself, a few hours to get them up. But you literally get double the amount of food. So when it comes time to be fall and hunting season, it's well worth the extra work. So I got 1 fence up immediately after we planted, and I'm gonna put another one up on this food plot right here. It's about a ½ an acre, and it's doing significantly worse than the field with the fence on it right now. And the deer are just, they're hammering the beans like they always do. And on top of that, we're getting no rain, which is totally contradictory from what I said in my previous video, but this is a complete off year. This never happens. It's never been this dry since we've started planting food plots. I mean, honestly, the last 8 years, we've never had we've never had a June this dry. So as you can see, we got some grasses coming up. I just sprayed this a couple days ago, so this stuff should die off nice. I put a nice little nutrient on the bean. We got a little shower 2 nights ago, not enough. Soil is still dry, as you can tell, but it gave it a little bit of moisture. It's going to help these beans out. But the only other thing that's going to help them is deer off the fields, is taking the pressure off of them. Now this is kind of a cool setup because this is about a total of a total of 1 acre in beans, but we got about a ½ acre here, and we got about a ½ acre here. This is right behind our camp, and it's just divided by this little strip of grass that we got that goes back to our pond that we walk. So I am going to fence one side of it. We're going to fence this side, and we're going to see how, it's going to be cool to be able to see the difference between the 2 sides of the field and how much the fence actually does help a bean plot. So we got this hot zone fence from Hooyman. These things are awesome. They come with the directions. They give you everything you need to set the field up. We've done electric fences before, so I'm going to modify these, which they're easily modifiable if you want to make them bigger or do things a little bit differently. Really, the only thing I'm modifying is I am going to put, just for an extra strength on the corners get the most tension. So I'm going to put these T-posts up, heavy duty T-posts up on the corners just to give it a little bit of extra strength. You don't have to do this, but I already have the posts from previous years, so with the insulators on them already. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to place these corners out. We're going to get it all lined up, and we're going to see what happens to these beans in this field. I got all 3 lines strung out around this whole fence through all the insulators. The kit comes with these tighteners, and I recommend using them. Your fence is going to sag as it settles and keeps pulling on your posts, your fiberglass posts and your insulators, and something bumps into it, it's going to settle. And if you don't put these in, you're going to have to just keep redoing your ties and pulling it tighter and tighter. These go right through your wire right there. And you can just keep twisting them. It's like a little ratchet almost, and they'll just keep cranking it tighter and tighter. So definitely recommend using these. They give you 3 of them, so you got 1 for each line. I'm gonna put these on now. We've done our own DIY fences before, and we have hot wired the entire thing, all 3 lines. 2 inside, 1 outside. The Hooyman actually makes it a lot simpler. The only wire that's hot is this outside fence. So this is just a rope that's on the inside, which actually makes it a lot nicer to work with. Makes it go a lot faster, and it's just cleaner. You don't have to worry about the inside being hot, tying it to a ground, getting it all hooked up. Literally just have to worry about getting this outside circuit. It's 1 loop. You're gonna hook it to the Energizer, hook it to the ground, and it should be good to go. So they make it really, really simple. They give you your battery, your positive and negative hookups. This is just going to clamp onto your ground rod right there. Pretty simple. And it goes to the earth side of the Energizer. It says right on it, it's pretty easy. And then this is going on the fence side, red side. It's all labeled very easy, and that's just going to clamp right on the fence like that. Makes it hot. Very simple the way they have this set up. It's really not complicated at all. It's pretty cool. One thing you do have to do, you do have to split your 2 ends of this outside fence, and you're gonna want to expose the wire. I usually use like a lighter or something and burn this off, and then you can pull it off so that it's all just wire. and then you're gonna tie the two ends together. You're just going to take the two ends of the wires, and now we have our full circuit, folks. Solar charger's hooked up. We're gonna start firing it up here. Just clamps on the ground just like that. Touch this over here so it's kind of stretched out and not touching the ground. Just like that. And then the final two to make the circuit. Negative. Oh, I have to stretch that out a little bit. And you can hear it popping. She's on. Pretty cool process from Hui Man here. Like I said, I modified ours a little bit. They have different insulators that you can tie on the corner posts if you want to. They tie up a little bit of a different way. Like I said, we've had fences in the past, so we have all these insulators and stuff that you can get all the stuff you need for electric fences at Tractor Supply. Like I said, this was a ½ acre kit, and it actually worked out perfect. This is just short of a ½ of an acre, so I have a little bit of spool of wire left, not much, but it worked out really nice. So I'm just gonna keep my eye on this, and like I said, you're gonna want to check it once a week or so, as your fence is gonna sag and it's gonna adjust. You know, it stretches out just like any other rope or line would. So just check it, make sure it's still intact, because as soon as the deer know that this fence isn't hot anymore, if for some reason something breaks, they're gonna start getting in. They learn very quickly, trust me, especially if you have a lot of deer pressure like we do. So it will be nice to see the difference between these beans and these beans. We'll keep you posted. Ooh, there's a stranger in the mirror. Coming down the road, Camp Cutlet. Dino's got to be pulling in, or he's there, or he's just pulling in, or he pulled in a little bit ago, or he's... We're about to see, about to find out about the hoo. He is not here yet, and that's okay. He said he was just pulling through Sherman. He's also late for just about everything. Ladies and gents, welcome to another episode of Plot Chronicles. We got Dave in town and up at camp for a couple of quick days, and we got a lot of work to do. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're jumping into side by side, gonna do a few laps around the property, kind of assess everything, come up with a game plan. We got 6 food plots to put in 2 days. Got our work cut out for us. We got the equipment on the Mahindras hooked up, ready to rock. The Rocky boots are strapped. So without further ado, let's get turning some dirt and head on over to food plot number 1. That tractor's hooked up. This Mahindra's already hooked up. So we good to go. Woo! Food plot chronies, baby. Got this first plot mapped out on Onyx Maps. I can't tell you how big this tool is. You just click on that shape that I got right there, and look at that. 0.8 acres tells you exactly to the decimal point how big it is. That way I know how much fertilizer to put down, and this is a tough year, everything's expensive. Turnips, if you don't take soil tests, you really want to put down about 400 pounds of triple 19 per acre, maybe triple 17 maybe, but if you want them to grow good, you just got to give them the food. All right, this was a cornfield that we found out we put some bad seed in here, so half of it didn't grow. It gets beat up by the deer, groundhogs, and everything. Looked like it was going to be a wash, but we came in here this week, and there's actually a decent amount of corn in here, enough to, you know, if we cob up on all of these, it'll be a decent amount of food. And I sprayed this probably 3 weeks ago, so all the dirt is like, it almost looks like it's tilled underneath the corn. So we're going to leave the corn, and we're going to broadcast turnips, brassicas right in the middle of it. I don't know, it could be really, really beneficial to have all this corn in here for late season. Our screenage that we grew was a failure, so having the cover in this field is going to allow us to be able to get into this blind if deer are in here feeding and get in there undetected. So interested to see how this works out. It's kind of cool though. We've never had corn in this field ever, and we're just going to load it up with turnips and radishes and all that good late season forage, and we're going to see what happens.
This is all going to be turnips. I don't know, probably about a half acre, maybe a little bit more.
Plot number 2, we're going to go with a little last stand. It's just a similar brassica blend, it just doesn't have radishes in it. That's what that blend. Alright, we're tag teaming plots today. So we got a disc, rototiller on the small tractor, and we're knocking them out. This is about a half an acre, maybe a little bit more. Got a little bit of grass in it, but it's okay. We're gonna knock it down with the disc, chop it all up. It's gonna be ready to roll here in about an hour or less. Had a tree down, Dave just moved it. This plot is always very tough to grow turnips in because it stays wet. Turnips, brassica, those type of mixes, seed mixes, do not like moist. They like moist soil to germinate, but they don't like soil that stays wet. They like dry, they just like dry soil. Anything we've learned over the past 8 years, they grow better in dry soil. We haven't put turnips in here in the last 3 years because it stays wet, but if there's a year to try it, this is it. Hopefully this plot stays relatively dry and the turnips should grow very, very good. If that's the case, this will be a very, very effective plot this hunting season. Put the pin in, got a locker in place. Stuff's starting to fall out. Like, Bob!
It's on the box. Here, fill me up, man. Fill me up.
I got this spot right here.
You know what? I just realized why they came up with the term redneck. Look at this bad boy. That thing look like cherries or what? And there he is, the man himself. This guy really knows how to spread that seed.
Spread that seed. What is that, number 3?
Number 3, 3 to go.
3 to go.
There's nothing really crazy to say. I'm just gonna move the earth in this plot. Kill it. Here, man, that's for me. Oh! That's what he said. There's only so much seed. That means really and truly just seriously fun. We got so much of this seed. Yeah. took a little while to break this down, but I feel like we got it to a good point. There was just so much damn grass in here, and that was our fault, you know, just a little bit behind on spraying it, let it get a little bit too high, and you'll always be chasing something if you get behind in any of this stuff. So just when them weeds get so high, even when they start to die off, number one, it takes them a lot longer. Number two, even when they're dead, it makes that first turn even harder. So I mean, in a perfect world, we would till this one more time and then plant it, but one of the things, you don't want to let this sit like this for very long, because then you're going to be fighting weed control. You can't spray the turnips with glyphosate or a Roundup or anything like that, so you want to get the seed in the ground as soon as possible so that it can start going, because as we turn this dirt, new seeds are coming to the surface, whether it's grasses, clover, weeds, it doesn't matter, but anything that tries to grow in here is going to be competing with what we're trying to grow in here. So it's all a science project, but it looks a hell of a lot better than it did, I'll tell you that much.
Does it even make you sad to know that was 7 summers ago? You know, the perks of being a camp manager is you get to send Dave on the old, out in the elements. And while it's 90 degrees, I get to sit in the cab in the AC and listen to some Northern Water. Alright, the final, well, at least for the weekend, final food plot. This is number 6. We did good. We got all 6 in. David is just knocking down some sod here on this last food plot. I'm going to run through and fertilize, and we're going to plant. Here's the plot. It's basically, this will be turnips, radishes, brassica mix, and it's basically a tree plot. We got walnuts, apples, we got white oaks, we got a bunch of different oak trees. You can see they're not producing yet. We got one producing oak tree there, but a lot of apple trees. A lot of apple trees, and in the midst of it, we're going to put clover and turnips. The trees are getting a little bit big, so this plot is shrinking from a ground crop standpoint. But we're going to turn this all up, and it's a great little transition spot at the back corner of this big green field. And you know, it's a good staging spot for deer to go out and feed. We got a nice creek running through the whole back side of it. They have everything they need right here, bedding area. So as you can still, a lot of green in here still. That's a lot of it's clover. It just, you can spray that pretty hard usually with Roundup in it. Doesn't like to kill it. Well, see what this looks like in about 45 minutes. The final showdown. I'm gonna go this way. That's it.
That ought to do it.
6 plots.
6 plots, 2 days.
We're in.
No more planting it. Well, maybe a couple small.
Yeah, I mean, I'll do a couple spots in turnips and stuff, but really no more plots.
No. It's a good feeling.
It's good.
It's a good feeling. Get through the first layer, you'll be good. Oh my God. Look at this fucking thing. I'm normally the breaks everything, but Dean freaking did a number on this fucking
That thing is so buried.
buried. Two.
And that tank is not helping anyone.
Hell no. Oh yeah, that full tank is not helping. All I can say is I'm glad it wasn't me. We thought we could cross the creek, so we cleared a huge trail in here earlier. But she's a little mucky. You probably shouldn't even try and start it. Is it in neutral?
I don't know. But we're gonna need this power of that unit to get this out of here.
You're probably right. I gotta get this for the gram. That was a full send right there. And that was full on send. Just created an ornament for the woods.
Yeah, we might have.
She might not be coming out. Folks, if there's one thing we're good at, it's getting things unstuck.
Oh shit. Yeah.
That thing got a hell of a chassis.